5 Live Boxing.
So at the end of 7 long days in Jeddah and at the end of 12 hard rounds, Anthony Joshua has failed to regain his heavyweight championships, losing on a split decision to Alexander Usyk. It was an intense fight. It's been a fantastic week. And Richie Woodle and I are going to break the fight down and the week down. I'm Steve Bunce. This is 5 Live Boxing. Richie, it's over. We've waited a year. We've been here a week. A split decision. You and I didn't watch this together. I watched it from ringside, actually on the ring apron, and my voice has gone. First of all, how did you score it?
I had it 7-5 Usyk, Steve. I just had Usyk in front. I didn't think there was a lot in it, and some of the rounds were very close. But the way I scored it, I just had Usyk winning it.
Yeah, I had it the other way, 7-5. Let's just read the scores out. The Ukrainian judge went 116 to 112. That's 8-4 in favour of Usyk. The British judge, Steve Gray, went 115, 113. That's the 7-5 that Richie saw. And Glenn Feldman, the very experienced American judge, he went 115 to 113. That's the 7-5 I saw. Now, Richie, you couldn't see what happened there in the end at the ring when Joshua's father came over to try and control him, and they were trying to restrain him and control him in the ring. And he did leave the ring at one point. He was talked back into the ring by various people. I was standing with Derek Del Boy Chisora, and he said, and I agreed, we've never seen AJ that animated and that angry. He put everything he could into that fight. Tactics were perfect. Tactics were right. You know, by your margin, he lost by a couple. By mine, he won by a few.
Yeah, listen, Steve, it's a really, really close fight. It's how the judges have seen it. It's gone, it's gone to Usyk. That's how I saw it. You saw it the other way. But yeah, we haven't seen it. I think he got a little bit emotional at the end there, and he was a little bit agitated in the corner. He's put absolutely everything into the contest.
Absolutely.
You know, his whole life and soul has gone into that performance there, and he thought he'd won it. And he's just so disappointed. It's just spilled over a little bit. It's a bit unfortunate. But he's still, he's still a British hero. But it wasn't his night tonight.
But I thought from about round 8, when I had him quite comfortably in front, he looked like he was in danger of being stopped several times. And then he would just rally in each round. I thought it was an heroic performance from him. And watching it from this close, seeing the intensity and the fire in his eyes, I had to feel for him a little bit at the end, Richie, because I think he'd done everything possible.
Yes, you're right, Stephen. I think towards the end of the fight, I think Usyk sort of box really, sometimes counter-punching front going forward, sometimes counter-punching going back. Again, we said this at the start, that the biggest problem for AJ was going to be handling the movement. Again, the movement from side to side, working around him. You suggested maybe bent arm shots, which he didn't throw a lot of, Steve.
But they worked when he did throw them.
Yes, when he did throw them.
Round behind the elbows, on the shoulders.
And also, when he started to throw his jab and measure that right hand a little bit better, then he was a little bit more successful.
Yeah.
But, you know, Steve, some of the rounds were very, very close indeed. And, you know, from my position where I was sitting, I was about, 25 rows back. And you're ringside.
No, and that,
so,
ringside and mostly standing. And
Yeah.
what's interesting is that so many of those punches AJ was taking on the gloves intentionally.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. If you take a shot on the gloves and just a bit of the punch does catch you, that's really a scoring blow.
Yeah.
All you've done is parry it and move it up. So perhaps, maybe, without doing an inquest, perhaps he shouldn't have taken so many of those shots. I mean, he took so many on the gloves. He was hurt, but he also made Usyk unbelievably uncomfortable on a lot of occasions, and very early in the fight. Usyk couldn't handle AJ's, I'm going to say it, speed in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, it was very good. It was very calculated, and I said to Pat, our producer next to us, who was sitting next to me, I said, look at what AJ's doing. He's not wasting a lot here.
Yeah.
In the first contest, he did, but he wasn't wasting a lot of shots. Shots were actually landing. He was better with his right hand. He did target the body. I thought there was a couple of low blows as well, and he was lucky at one point.
I think they were intentional.
Yeah, you know.
That's okay.
Well, the thing is, Steve, you know yourself in this game, when you've got a moving fighter, you target his body.
Absolutely.
You target the body, you hurt him downstairs, because that slows the feet down. If you can slow the feet down, he becomes a more static target, and then you can produce your better work. That's what I think was in AJ's mind, but a couple of them just strayed south of the border.
Let me ask you this, Rich. From over there, back 25 rows, compared to being 3 feet away from the ring, what was the fight like over there? Because here at ringside, it was quite magnificent. It was tense, because I could see that intensity, that fire in his eyes. I could also see sometimes the alarm in Usyk's eyes when he was being manhandled, especially in a couple of those rounds when he was pushed around.
Well, we were in a section where there was quite a lot of Usyk supporters, Steve, to be quite honest. And at the end of the fight, they knew we were obviously for Anthony Joshua. They turned to us, one shook my hand, big smile on his face. They thought Usyk had won.
Okay.
I said, Usyk, do you think Usyk? He says, yes. I said, I've also got him winning. He says he has won this fight. So the general feeling around people around us was that Usyk had won it, but we were in a large section. Like I say, a lot of Usyk supporters were there.
Well, what we will do here, obviously, the fight has only just ended. In fact, they're still interviewing Usyk in the ring, and now it's Eddie Hearn's up there talking. We're going to do our usual thing, which we do after a fight. We'll go and grab some people, speak to some people, and see what we can do to just get a little bit more insight and some more opinions on what's happened here. Anthony Joshua has failed to regain the World Heavyweight title. In his 12th consecutive heavyweight championship fight, he's failed to join a very elite club. I thought he did enough to get it. One of the judges did, 2 of them didn't, and Richie also sided with one of the 2 judges. Perfect score. 7-5 either way, seems about right. I thought after the first 6 or 7 rounds, I thought AJ was boxing brilliantly. And you maybe couldn't see it from there, but I'm taking it from me, Rich. Usyk was struggling to work away without getting caught. He didn't like getting caught.
No, I thought at the start of the contest, I thought AJ certainly disrupted the rhythm, and we spoke about that before. You can't allow Usyk to get into a rhythm, and I thought there were early parts of the contest where AJ did really, really well. He disrupted that rhythm. He really made Usyk think more than he had to, and yeah, there were some rounds as well where I think he hurt Usyk several times downstairs, and that certainly disrupted his rhythm, Steve, and it took a while for Usyk to actually get to grips with the contest, get back into that rhythm, nick those jabs and scoring points. But he's such a clever boxer. And I even said to someone sitting close to me who was talking to me about the contest, I says, if you watch Usyk, he rarely gets on the ropes.
No.
And occasionally he did it, but it was very, very rare.
Yeah.
It's as if it's a danger zone to him. There's an alarm that goes off and he goes straight back to the centre of the ring. Clever man.
Well, he was bundled over to the ropes right up in front of me here. In fact, as I walk over, I can actually I'm touching the canvas here. That's the canvas. Usyk's about 5 feet away. The row of British press are in front of me, and they're taking big marks there. Potts is there. All the boys are there. They're taking their pictures of Usyk. He's in front of them. His face fairly marked up. I'm not quite sure if it's relief or just the fact he's exhausted. Up in the ring is also Vasyl Lomachenko, who left Ukraine, I think, on Tuesday of this week, went to Los Angeles, and he's obviously thrown in today. I saw him at ringside with his father, Anatoly.
I'll tell you what, though, Steve, as well, talking about the fight again, I think AJ's best round, I think it was round 9. 8 or 9, it was a cracking round. He hurt Usyk, and he really had him going. But what a response the next round by Usyk.
Yeah.
He knew he had to get back into it, but that was a great round for AJ.
And the terrible thing about that, or the terrible stroke brilliant thing about that, is that AJ was absolutely exhausted. He needed a round to recover at that point.
He put so much into it, Steve, that round. But I thought he was turning the table then, but yeah, he put a lot into it, and the next round, he just eased up a little bit and allowed Usyk to come back and respond really well.
That was some fight, there was some event. Richie, I'm going to have a look here and see if we can just try and grab a few people. So I said we'd walk, and I've managed to get Barry Hearn, and in 5 steps over, I purposely didn't ask him what he thought of the decision or how he scored it. So I'm going to ask you now, how did you score that?
I scored it by 4 rounds to Usyk.
Oh, okay, 8-4 in rounds, okay.
Yeah. I thought it was a better fight than the first one.
Yeah, much better.
But from Joshua's point of view, perhaps he didn't quite put his foot on the accelerator in the early rounds. With someone like Usyk, who is, let's be honest, pound for pound, this guy looks close to unbeatable, but time will tell. No one's unbeatable, as you know, Richie.
As we know.
But you've got to hurt him early.
Yeah.
You've got to slow him down, and Anthony didn't quite do that. Was it round 9 and 10?
That was the massive round.
Two of the greatest rounds I've seen. Round
they were good
9,
rounds, weren't they?
They were great rounds, because round 9, you think Joshua's finally letting his hands go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should he have done that earlier, before he started to gas?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Maybe.
But the danger was, his thinking was, if I do that early, then I'm gassed by 7.
Yeah, but then
I might be able to survive.
there are sometimes
what a risk!
you've got to roll the dice early.
But
sometimes.
Barry, you're the only person that we spoke to really who thought that AJ could win on points.
Yeah.
And he almost did, because it's one of them.
One judge said he did.
Yeah, well,
it's a split decision. It's close.
I mean, listen, I'd have taken the victory, but I'd have felt guilty about it.
Really?
Because to my mind, and I love it, Anthony Joshua's like family to us.
Yeah.
We love him. He's a great guy. He's fabulous for boxing. All of us, like Tiger Woods has done so much for golf, Joshua has done the same job on boxing, and every fighter's getting the benefit from it. Yeah. But my eyes don't lie. You've been around the block, so Steve. Yeah. Usyk is a class fighter.
Brilliant. He's
and
brilliant.
He's got gears that I didn't think he could pull out. When he came out in the 10th round after a battering in the 9th,
And it was a battering.
I thought that showed what real champions are made of, and hats off to him. And that's it's just being fair.
Yes.
I mean, I'd have loved to be saying to you, but
Robbery.
If we'd have got it on points, I'd have felt as if we stole something.
Yeah, that's very honest, Barry.
So, Barry, what about I'm going to use the T word, the trilogy word?
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
isn't it set for a trilogy?
No,
not
at all. I think Anthony's got to go back and consider what he wants in his life.
Yeah.
I think he wants to carry on, which is great, but I think he's got to look at another path. He's got to rebuild, and he's got to be humble and look to improve.
But Barry,
I think Usyk has got some massive fights. Whether Tyson Fury is tempted out, that'll be an interesting fight to watch, because it's not really a clash of styles. They've both got similar styles, but interesting. But failing that, look, the heavyweight division's alive with big fights. It's going to keep us all in a job for ages. So, you will be able to feed the children, Richie.
Thank you. But Barry, I thought that Anthony Joshua showed enough desire in there that he would want to continue with his career. It's not as if he's been comprehensively beaten. It was a close fight.
No, I think he does. But when you've got a work rate like Usyk's got, and you've got a muscular fighter in Joshua, that if he can fight at his own pace, he doesn't have a problem. If he's pushed beyond that pace, his muscular size, it will have effects on anybody. Yeah. And I think what he was saying in the ring, which I thought was one of the most wonderful pieces of television, I thought it was marvellously emotional, and forgive the language, but at the same time, I think he knows. Like he said about Dempsey, and you can put them all in. Yeah. They were 15-stone fighters. He's 18-stone, muscle fighter. Can he really keep it up for 12 rounds if he has to? Yeah. I think that's a physiological problem that he's got to deal with.
Barry, let me ask you one final question. That when AJ got very angry at the end and steamed out of the ring, that was understandable. He thought he'd put into practice a perfect ploy. He thought he'd won. One judge thought he won. I thought AJ nicked it. I thought it was a 7-5 to AJ.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Wow.
But at the same time, 7-5 is only one round away from a draw. Remember, let's get that straight.
No.
But he was angry at the end. You can understand that, can't you?
I think he's on an emotional roller coaster.
Absolutely.
The ups and downs of winning and losing, the pressure that he's under, the desire to revenge for a previous defeat.
Absolutely.
The desire, which in all champions, is to want to be the best and to get the accolades that follow. And that's the frustration. And he went from being violently upset to actually humble about everything from Ukraine.
Yes, he did.
And then he'll go back and he'll probably cry his eyes out. That's the roller coaster that we're all in. Yeah. It's called professional sport, and there's winners and losers, and there's lots of tears, and the odd smile, which makes it all worthwhile.
Oh, Barry, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Barry.
Thanks for your time this week.
Cheers,
thanks, Barry.
Steve, should we not go back and discuss what happened in the ring? AJ went into Usyk's corner. He had the belts. What happened there?
Well, I think Barry touched on it. I think it was in two parts. First of all, AJ's livid at the end. Livid, absolutely livid, screaming the place down, okay? And he picks up the belts, the two belts, or two of the belts, and throws them on the floor, steams out of the ring. His father tries to stop him, and he goes to walk away, and they eventually bring him back in the ring. And once he comes back in the ring, he's absolutely incredible. He talks about and this is some of the stuff he said. He said people don't understand or realise the journey I've been on. That's the passion we put into this stuff. I'm not one of those guys that went to boxing when I was 5. I found boxing so that it could save me. It kept me out. Basically, he said it kept me out of prison. Yes. Without that, I'd be gone. And then he started praising Usyk. He said, I know Alexander has been, on the front line and all of that sort of stuff. And then he said that for him to beat me tonight, he must have been really good, because I know how good I was. And he did absolutely. And then he was praising the Ukrainian people. So that was really good.
I haven't seen him as emotional like that, Steve. Not for a long time. Not in that way.
I was talking to Del Boy Chisora, who's known him longer than I have. And he said the same thing. He said, I've never known him that emotional ever.
Yeah, incredible. And obviously, Steve, it's in the heat of the moment, isn't it?
Because, that's understandable, yeah.
He put everything into the fight. He thought he'd won it.
Richie,
he'd fought the perfect fight, and it's close.
Let's get this right. That was not a robbery.
No.
I thought in my heart that AJ had won it. You think Usyk won it. Barry Hearn is adamant that Usyk won it quite comfortably. I'll be honest with you, I didn't quite see the fight that Barry Hearn was talking about there with Usyk's work rate, which I didn't think.
And he was very close
phenomenal.
to the ring as well, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. So it just shows you what you can see and what can happen, and that's understandable. It does happen. There's been. You'll love this here. This is beautiful. The ring's been invaded. Loads of people.
Steve, there's been kids in the ring actually shadowboxing.
Absolutely. So like, fans and not violent.
Yeah.
Local Saudis have come down. They're in the ring shadowboxing. The security are trying to get them out, but why? Just let them use the ring.
Let them have a go.
No one's going in. Let them stay
There's
in the
some
ring.
Kids there
let them have some fun.
Pretending to be Anthony Joshua, pretending to be Alexander Usyk. They're shadowboxing away. They're enjoying their moment. Let them get on.
The only person that's upset is Mike Goodall. He doesn't want his ring broken.
No. So he wants to start taking it down.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll start now. We'll start making our way. Yeah, you know what? I tell you, take a picture of me. We're live. Okay, here we go. I'm just posing for a picture. Thanks very much. Nah, we're sort of live. Thanks very much, my new Saudi friend. And I've got plenty of Saudi friends. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go with Paddy. We'll go backstage. We'll do what we do, and we'll go to the conference, and we'll start talking to one or two other people, and hopefully, just get a bit more information. So we've made our way into one of the corridors here. Thanks very much to the people who let us in. Eddie, first of all, your reaction, not to the scores, but the reaction to the fight itself, the pleasure of sitting and watching that.
Yeah, it was high level. You know, I can't believe the 10th round from Alexander Usyk. I'm still getting over it. You know, it was AJ. I ran over to the corner after the 9th and said, he's gone, you've got him.
Because AJ had a massive 9th.
And he hurt him repeatedly in the fight. And the 10th round from Usyk, and I just had Usyk winning 10, 11, 12 to edge the fight. You know, I thought it was just a remarkable close to the fight from Alexander Usyk. Hurt, but decided to get on the front foot, put the pressure on AJ, and he's devastated, because he wanted to win so bad, you know, and he should be proud of himself. I just said to him in there, you know, he said, you know, I'm not elite. I said, you are elite. I said, this is the pound for pound number one. You lost a split decision to the pound for pound number one fighter in the world, you know, but he's a winner and he hates to lose, and especially when you've put everything into it. He wanted to win for himself, he wanted to win for his training team who make sacrifices as well, and he's devastated.
Ed, up until that 9th round, were you pleased with the way it was going? It was a more measured performance.
I still wanted a little bit more aggression. I wanted him, you know, when he did edge Usyk back, you know, I wanted him to go again. You know, if he, as soon as he got anywhere near the ropes, let the hands go, because he did that in the 9th round, and you saw straight away what happened when he started doing that. But it's easier said than done, you know. But he boxed much better than the first fight, and he hurt him repeatedly. But it was just the gears of Alexander Usyk, when he looked tired, when he looked finished, he got hurt to the body a lot in that fight. You know, you see him duck down, grab hold, complain about a low blow, but he was, you know, he was brilliant. And you know, I feel like AJ puts a lot of pressure on himself, and you know, he wants to be the best heavyweight in the world, and you can't be the best heavyweight in the world if you're getting beat. And he's okay, you know, if he's third best heavyweight in the world or whatever he might be, it ain't a bad place to be.
No,
but you've got to improve and you've got to learn.
And he's already in a situation where that's now 12 consecutive world heavyweight title fights. That's a tiny club of men that have gone 12 consecutive world heavyweight title fights. A very small club.
Yeah, and especially with the pressure, Steve.
Absolutely.
You know, like the pressure of
immense pressure.
the whole country, the pressure of carrying British boxing, the pressure of people writing him off, the pressure of people saying his career's on the line. I mean, you know, he's just a normal young kid from Watford. You know what I mean?
He showed enough desire.
Yeah, but
to say that
when you go into the changing room, you see a man that is gutted to lose, and that's a great sign.
Yeah.
If he went back in there smiling and he went back in there shaking everyone's hands and saying, well, I've made a nice few quid, haven't I? Maybe it's not. It's, I'm going to get better. Oh, no, I could have beat him. Oh, why did I do that in that round? Why did I do that in that round? It's complete frustration of someone that loves the game.
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly the first 6 or 7 rounds leading up to that 9th. There were rounds that could be decided by 2 or 3 quick jabs, or a couple of...
And Usyk was strong in the last 10 seconds, and many rounds.
Every round, every round he's done that. And what happened at the end, Eddie, when he seemed to get very excited? AJ, I've never seen him like that. Have you?
Just emotion, really, and you know, I think he talked about the belts a little bit, you know, and obviously about Usyk and congratulated him. I don't know whether the member of the team or someone said so. I don't know what happened, but AJ wasn't being himself.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth.
No, sure.
You know, he was devastated, and he left the ring, and then he thought to himself, I can't do that because that's not on. Then come back in the ring, decided to have a little speech.
And he was brilliant. The speech was great,
but like, you know, it's just, I hope people see that for what it was.
Yeah.
That's AJ, like, and love of the game. Look, Richie Woodall's been around the young man well before he was a recognised name.
Absolutely.
And he knows what a good kid he is, and he knows how hard he works in the sport. To be honest with you, and this is one thing, you know, people talk about, you know, mental health and pressure. When boxing is your absolute life, like it's his life.
Absolutely.
Sadly, and it is quite sad, being totally honest, it's the only thing in his life, right? He lives in a bubble where he's got a team of people that, you know, he goes from home to Loughborough, spends the whole week there, actually now spends the whole camp there, lives in a little apartment there in Loughborough, goes there, comes back, goes there, comes back, goes home, can't go for a coffee, can't go to the shops, can't go to the park for a game of football, just trains and watches tapes and tries to improve. So therefore, when something you love comes crumbling down, it's very difficult to take. And you saw that.
That's what that was at the end,
Close.
No, it was frustration. It was a little bit of implosion.
Yeah.
It was the fact that he was devastated. He was angry, you know, and he still is. You know, he's already talking about, he's going for every round with Robert Garcia in there. What could I have done? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do that?
And he'll know he could have done more in certain of those rounds.
But you're up against a guy.
I appreciate,
maybe he's too good.
Yeah,
he's very good.
Very good. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
So when you got in there straight first off, Eddie, did you have to do a little bit to lift him up?
I went over to him, and everybody said, look, and I knew you got to say something.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
he said, look, Ed, just on like literally, give me 5 minutes. I said, look, I want to tell you, we're all proud of you.
Yeah.
I said, you boxed a great fight. I said, there's things you could have done differently, but you lost a split decision to pound for pound. Yeah, but I lost. I said, I know you lost. But this guy is pound for pound number 1. Yeah, I'm not pound for pound number 1. No, you're not. Right now. But you're a great heavyweight. You're an elite heavyweight. He said, but I wanted to be 3 times world heavyweight champion. I said, you will be. I said, if you keep consistent, keep working hard, and maybe you'll never beat Alexander Usyk, but maybe you'll beat
someone else.
Tyson Fury. Maybe you'll beat Deontay Wilder. Maybe you'll beat Dillian Whyte again. I mean, like, you're talking about, but it's... He don't want to be number 3 heavyweight in the world.
Yeah.
He wants to be number 1 heavyweight in the world. But
I like that
love
burning desire.
The kid's a winner.
No, but I love the response.
Yeah.
Because you've seen it before. You've seen it before from fighters who, you know, when he lost to Andy Ruiz the first time around, you saw him cuddle him, go over there, lift his hand up, and it was like, this is different. This is different, you know. And even in the first Usyk fight, you never saw this reaction because he's just in his head. He's put so much pressure on himself to win this fight.
Put everything into it.
And when it goes wrong, you know, you see the result.
In this post-fight sort of series of emotion, I've got to sort of ask you straightforward questions. Would you imagine a trilogy taking place, a third fight taking place, or would you advise, let's take a breath, let's get a win? What's your gut feeling, Ed?
It was a lot closer fight than last time.
Absolutely.
It was a lot more competitive. AJ looked like he was going to win the fight at one stage, but can you beat Alexander? I mean, I just said to him there, I think you've also been hurt by a lack of activity in the last couple of years. We know we've had
bingo.
COVID. I think you had 2 fights in 2 years. He needs to get the confidence going and get active and knocking people out.
Definitely.
You know, and for me, I'd like to see him back in the ring in December. I know it was 12 rounds. It wasn't a brutal 12 rounds.
It was an intense 12 rounds.
Thinking 12 rounds.
But for me...
not a grueling, brutal drawn-out slugfest.
You know, if you look at the run that he's been on, and it's very unusual to see someone with the commercial draw of Anthony Joshua who's had to, or for some reason, because of mandatories and everything, has consistently taken tough fights. Yeah. Like he went Dillian White, Charles Martin, Dominic Brazil, Eric Molina, Vladimir Klitschko, Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker in another unification, Alexander Povetkin, Andy Ruiz, Kubrat Pulev, Alexander Usyk. Yeah. When have you seen a run like that with no gimmies in the middle? Even when he beat Charles Martin and Molina, he was a novice. Yeah. He had 16 fights.
All world class heavyweights.
I know, and it's like, so I feel like now, because it's not about the money. Now it's about enjoying yourself, going out there, because I don't think a lot of the time he has enjoyed it. Because it's been, this time, 11 months between the last fight. Yeah. And it's like the pressure. Yeah. After the last Usyk fight, I reckon he had 2 or 3 weeks off. Yeah. And he was back in the gym. He's been in the gym for 10 months. You know, building up in his head for this fight.
Yeah. So a glorious December 02 homecoming.
Something like that.
Why not?
Because it's not like, you don't, he's always been in blockbusters.
Absolutely.
I want him to stay in love or fall in love with the sport. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And when you fall out of love with the sport, that's when you should walk away. But when you go into that changing room, you don't see a man that's ready to walk away. You see a man that's devastated, hungry, and wants to go on and become champion again.
I thought that was a real positive tonight, that he showed that desire to win and compete, and he's not finished by far.
No. But again, you've got to, there's a lot of people that will write him off. But as I said to him in there, you lost a split decision to the pound-for-pound number one.
Absolutely. If he'd have knocked Usyk out in the ninth round, they'd have still written him off. Listen, Eddie, it's been a pleasure and a delight this week.
Cheers.
As usual.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers,
Thanks, boys. Ed, see you very soon. I'm going to try. I've seen Derek Del Boy Chisora's here. I'm going to just try and grab Del Boy if I can. If I could just grab hold of Del Boy, if I can. Just one second. Derek, sorry to interrupt you. Yes, you, Derek, Del Boy. Sir Del Boy of Saudi Arabia. Shake Derek. Del, you came and stood near me for the last 3 or 4 rounds. I thought it was a really entertaining fight. I thought it was a really intense fight. How did you have it at the end, Del? What's your gut feeling?
I was in the royal box, and then I asked if I can go down. And I came down on the 10th round.
Yeah.
And because I knew if it goes past 6, 7 rounds, it's going to be a nightmare for us.
Yeah.
So I came down, and he was working. He worked himself off. It was working,
Derek Del Boy Chisora, thank you very much. Very crowded corridor here. Alex Krasik joins us now. Alex, first of all, congratulations to you and your entire team. How is Alexander? He seemed very relieved at the end that the fight was over. Just very happy that it was all over.
I saw him praying in the corner before the 12th round. So he was feeling really, really exhausted because the fight went exactly the way we expected it to go. So AJ put everything on the ring. So he left himself there with all heart. But the skills that Usyk got and the size of his heart, that's what turned the fight into proper direction for us.
Alexander had a bad 9th round, but then his response in the 10th round was
champion,
exceptional.
That's his character. That's how he used to live. That's how he used to conduct things in his life. If he gets hit, he will hit twice. If he gets hit 2 times, he will hit 4 times. That's a man, that's his mentality.
A champion.
Absolutely.
Was AJ better
than you expected this time? Because we all think he was better than he was the first fight. Was he better? Did it surprise anybody?
Yeah, I saw kind of proper tactics and strategy. He didn't move a lot. If you noticed, he was sitting until the last second of the break.
I did notice that.
Yeah, because he was saving his energy. He knew he would have to go the distance. He knew he would have to probably go for 12 rounds. That's why every calorie means a lot. He didn't move a lot, like he didn't throw that many punches.
Didn't waste any punches.
Exactly, didn't waste. And that allowed him to stay more, let's say, less disappointed. Because when you miss a lot, you get disappointed. But when you don't miss, you still stay focused. So this man, I saw some kind of strategy, and all the time he was trying to put his feet hard into the ring mat, so to throw a right hand.
Yeah.
But
digging his toes in.
Yes, exactly.
Planting his feet.
And he was trying to do it throughout the 12 rounds. And the final moment showed that the skills, I mean the footwork of his opponent, I mean Alex Usyk, that's what does matter in boxing.
Yeah. He's just, when he finds his rhythm and his eye, Alexander is just brilliant to watch.
Exactly, he's a real champion. He's the real man.
And people back home will be very proud of him, won't they?
I just cannot even imagine how huge this victory is. We just don't realize it at this moment. It probably need to go a couple days, so we feel this this feedback from home. But come on, he is the real inspiration. He is the hero of the nation.
And what about going home? Will that be in the next few days, or will he just relax a little bit here?
Yeah, we have to breathe out first. And of course, Usyk gave his promise to go home as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Because people need his inspiration. That's what he's gonna do. He will inspire people. He'll give people some incentive to go ahead, to fight and to win.
There's never been a national hero like him in sport or anything. I'm convinced. I don't think there has been a hero.
Yeah.
Like
You know, Klitschko brothers are still the national heroes. But the active athlete like Usyk, he's the one. He's the man.
Alex, it's been a pleasure this week. It's always a pleasure dealing with you.
Thank you very much.
You are a gentleman. Could you please give our best from us here at the BBC to Alexander?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much,
Thank
gentlemen.
you very
It was
much
my
indeed.
pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed. As we leave Alex Krasik, the manager of Alexander Usyk, let's go and speak to David Diamanti, the MC and the master of ceremonies, the boss man at all of these functions. Let me ask you this, Dave, straight away. When you're a fight like that, you're a fan, not an MC. When you're on a night like this, at an event like this, you're a fan, not an MC, Dave.
Well, I have to wear both hats.
Yeah,
but
and both jackets.
And both jackets. But 100%, I'm a fan. But sometimes I have to, I'm wearing a bow tie.
Yeah.
I am wearing a dicky bow, so I have to always keep that in my mind too, and I have to remain neutral. And in this fight, really, I love both guys.
Yeah.
It's hard to root against either one of these guys.
That's a very good point, that, Dave. That's a very good point. These two guys are both loved and adored in different ways, and it is really hard to root against either of these two guys.
You can't root against either one of them. I love them both, and we saw a great fight. I'm really proud of Usyk, and I'm also proud of Joshua. He showed up, and it takes a lot of minerals to take this fight. It took a lot to take the Ruiz rematch, and it took a lot to come back and take this. And I think people
that's another great point.
People need to take their hat off to him. He's not afraid to go out there and give it his all and try, and that's more than a lot of people can say. So he swung the bat. Okay, maybe he didn't hit a home run, but he swung the bat and he stepped up to the plate. So hats off to him.
David, right at the end of the fight, in your heart, who did you think had won it? Because it was close. It was a split decision. Did you think Usyk had won the fight?
Mate, come on. You think it was close?
Oh, I do. I think it's really close.
I don't know about that. I
Yeah.
mean, listen. I think it wasn't. I think Usyk won that fight.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think Usyk won that fight.
Which he does as well.
I think you had somewhat of a boxer versus stalker. I really would have liked to seen more of the jab. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a power shot.
Just a push shot.
It could be a rangefinder. It could be to blind him, followed by a right hand. I would have liked to see a left hook to the body, leading him right into the right hand. You got to let your hands go a little bit more. And this is the thing. Usyk is a master. If you let him, he will.
He dictates.
He will dictate. And I thought in this fight, AJ looked better than the first one. He was more focused. He started off great. He looked good, but he just let it. It's like it seemed like he let it go, and he also seemed to be quite. It was almost he got very tired at the end.
Yeah, well, the last 3 rounds, 10, 11, 12, I think they were comfortably Usyk.
And after that incredible round 9, Usyk responded like a champion.
No, he did,
and came out and did what he needed to do in the 10th.
Okay, Dave, before we let you go, because I know you've got to rush for a mad in the middle of the night flight, as has Richie. Where are you off to next with your air miles, Dave? Because it's getting ridiculous. Pictures of you at airports. I'm sorry.
This is called Saudi to Sonora, Mexico, Hermosillo. So we got a world title triple header, Juan Francisco Estrada. So, man.
It's a tough life. It's a tough life, David.
Next week?
It's the week after. But I'll go to New York from here. I'm going to stay an extra day.
David,
here in Saudi.
Grab yourself a Cohibo Esplendido. Relax when you get pit stop New York off to Mexico. David, thanks so much for your time.
I appreciate you guys very much,
David.
and hats off to both fighters for both fighting like champions.
Brilliant. Thank you, David.
David Diamanti there, the MC, my MC of choice, and the top banana. Rich, as we wait here in this hallway speaking to people, not just the people we've interviewed, some of the people we've talked to as well. Sky Nicholson, the unbeaten Australian Commonwealth Games champion from a few years ago, unbeaten as a pro, and a real quality fighter. She thought that Usyk had done enough. And just everybody what we've spoken to.
Barry Hearn thought
Barry Hearn, Eddie Hearn thought that. Derek wasn't going to commit, Derek Chisora, but David Diamanti looked quite shocked that we thought it was even close. But so that's got me thinking, because I thought it was 7-5 to AJ, which is 1 round away from a draw. Okay, you had it 16-14.
16-14, so a couple of even there.
So it had those 2 even rounds gone. I mean, I'm not building a case here. People will be going, "Oh, Buncey, you're trying to justify it," because as we said on 5 Live, as we said on the pod, every part of your body and heart said that Usyk would win. I just had this feeling for a fairy tale. What's really interesting, Rich, is that if everybody seemed to think that AJ would lose by being stopped, running out of steam in the between 6 to 8 rounds seems to have been the thing. Well, he was maybe in danger in the last 9 minutes, the last 3 rounds. I'd be interested as we carry on walking on this trawl here before we have to put you on a plane. Let me just say, we're recording this now at about 3:15 in the morning. Richie has to check in at 4. So it's going to be really tight. Richie's flight's at 6, and the next flight is about 3 days' time. That's not going to go down too well at home. So that's really interesting, that idea that David Diamanti didn't even think it was close. Barry Hearn didn't think it was close. And yet, whenever it's a 7-5 score, and 2 of the judges had it 7-5, 1-1.
Close, Steve.
That's a 1 round.
Listen, I thought it was a close fight. I got it by 2, but I got 2 rounds that are even as well.
Can you remember how you got the first, say, 4 rounds?
Yeah.
Just have a look at you. Let's just have a little, because I thought those 4 rounds, like some people have said, I thought the first 4 or 5 rounds were nip and tuck,
so
just a touch.
I had Usyk first round, AJ second round, third round 10-10.
Are you going to draw? I gave that to AJ, but only just. I got a tight round.
I got Usyk
in a 4th.
First round Usyk, second round AJ, third round even, 4th round Usyk.
Well, okay. So basically, the only place we disagree there is on the first round. I gave the first round to AJ. I thought he had a
and it was a close round. So it could have gone either way.
So we scored the first 4 there, just about the same. It's It was that type of fight. It was a nip and tuck fight. The intensity, Richie, now that we're back here.
It was a nip and tuck fight.
The intensity.
And it was, but it was I thought it was a much improved AJ. He still struggled with the movement of Usyk,
But he managed to get closer to stop the movement in many of the rounds.
Exactly. So he had to really concentrate. And it takes us back to what Tony Bellew said about how he drains you mentally, because you have to concentrate. And AJ had to. And you could see it in his face. Yeah. He's concentrating so much to cope with that movement. But yes, Steve, some of them rounds are really, really close that could have gone either way. Let's get that right.
Absolutely.
And I don't think there's a lot in this fight, Steve, at all. You know, it's 1 or 2 rounds for Usyk, but no more than that, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, and I'm really keen. I'm really keen that this doesn't become a massacre overnight, and then and tomorrow an even bigger massacre. I'm really keen. You know, it's just, I said, as I said to you when we started, 7-5 either way, 6-6. I'd had no problem.
Yeah.
And there was no robbery here tonight in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah. It's starting to thin out here. In fact, everybody's leaving as I'm walking, as I'm watching. And in fact, Richie Woodall's gone outside. He's trying to get hold of Russ Anber, who does the bandages for Usyk and does the bandages for lots of other terrific fighters. In fact, considered to be one of the greatest men at doing bandages, the hand wraps. He's also in charge of cuts in Usyk's corner. And I can see that Richie's managed to get. Yeah, Richie has managed to get. Oops, I think Russ Anber might be getting in a car to leave. There's confusion out here. Richie has got Russ Anber.
Yes, indeed. Russ, just tell us about it and how you saw it.
Listen, what I saw, and I think full credit needs to go to AJ on his determination to want to win. He was fully committed to wanting to win. He prepared to win. You could see the strategy that he put together, that he wanted to win. He really gave it everything he could to win. Like, he proved what a competitor he is. And Usyk had to solve now 2 Anthony Joshua's, the one from the first time and a totally different looking Anthony Joshua from this time. One with a high guard. It was hard to catch him clean. You know, Usyk had to create the angles to try to catch him. I mean, I thought it was a physical chess match, you know, and, you know, a style of fight that I know you like, you know, so, yeah.
Yeah, listen, we were pretty pleased with AJ's performance as well.
100%, you have to be.
A little bit more accurate. He was patient. It was more measured.
Yeah.
He didn't waste so much. And you could tell he was thinking about the contest.
Yeah.
And at times, I thought that Usyk, thought, hey, this is a different AJ.
100% he was. And, you know, he, like I said, he had the guard up. You know, he had the guard up. He was difficult to hit, and he wasn't letting Usyk move him back like he did last time. Yeah. You know, he stood his ground, and he said, okay. And if he sensed he was getting in any pressure or danger from Usyk, he just fired back, you know, and that had to keep Usyk honest, didn't it, Richie?
Yes, it did. Now, Russ, just tell me what your thoughts were when AJ puts in a fantastic 9th round.
Oh, it was great. It was a great round, but and I think you'll understand this, even though he doesn't have a lot of professional experience, all he did was weather the storm. So it looked like, you know, AJ was all over. He got hurt. You know, the big guy's hitting you, right? You get hit with a shot.
Absolutely.
But instead of trying to grab and panic, he just weathered the storm. Whoop, 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 whoop. You know, he knew this guy's coming. Okay, I've lost this round. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to lose it any worse than this. So he came back to the corner. He was fine when he came back. We hit him with the ice water. He was fine. Evidence was what happened in the next round.
What happened in the next round,
right.
Russ.
That's right.
That was some performance in that next round. The way he turned it around, and in fact, it was probably a better round for him than AJ's 9th.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So
a true champion.
A true champion. And, you know, listen, let's give full credit to both of these guys. They fought a great fight tonight. I was a little worried. With the scoring, because early in the fight, every time AJ, you know, threw a punch or it landed on the glove, the crowd went crazy.
Went crazy, yeah.
I'm saying, why am I missing something here? So they even had me doubting what I was watching.
Yes.
But in the end, you know, I don't know how it was a split decision. You know, 8-4, 7-5, I think is probably an accurate score.
I had
Usyk
winning. I had Usyk winning. At the end of the fight, Russ, were you convinced that he was the winner?
Yeah, I mean, when everyone came in, like I was worried. I was a little bit worried, you know, like I said, because of the crowd influence, and you never know how the judges are gonna do that. And this is boxing, Richie. You know as well as I do. We have seen some horrendous decisions. Okay, and I'm never confident. You say, yeah, we won the fight, but I'm never confident until they announce the scores.
And Russ, finally, you went back with him into the changing rooms. What was he like?
He hugged me and he said the hands felt great, and he was really happy. And so if he did that, I'm happy,
He's relieved?
He was very relieved. No injuries. He was happy with it. They asked him in there, they said, what do you think about that it was a split decision? He said split, no split, the right guy won. So
Russ,
that's his attitude.
he is a true national hero, isn't he?
He is. And, I think that people should give him credit for what he's done and what he's achieved, and under the pressure that he's achieved it with his country at war, and carrying the weight of his country on his shoulders, who want him to win and still be the heavyweight champion of the world. You know as well as I do, that's an enormous pressure. Like we talked about that earlier, when we talked about Joe Louis. That kind of pressure athletes have to deal with. Not everyone can handle that.
Russ, that's fantastic. Listen, you've been a pleasure to work with all week.
Buddy. You're a great guy.
I hope to see you again soon. Thanks very much, Russ.
Well. Thank you for having me on, Richie.
Brilliant. Thank you, mate.
Well, thank you very much, man. All right.
I've decided to leave Russ and Richie. It's getting late here at the King Abdullah Sports Centre. I'm making my way to one of the 3 or 4 tents, the media tents, because I've just been passed by a massive black SUV, and in the back of it was Anthony Joshua. He put his fist out, we touched fists. He's gone to the press conference. Hopefully, I'm going to get a couple of minutes with him. But it has to be said, about 5 minutes past 4 in the morning. AJ, first of all, I'm really happy that you're emotional, and I'm really happy that you're upset because it shows you care, it shows you've got the desire.
I wish I held it together. It's hard to hold it together all the time. But I wish I would have acted better, but you can't go back. But let's give Alexander Usyk and this team credit where credit's due. I'm proud of them. And thank you for everyone that tuned in and watched the fight.
Don't be afraid of taking credit yourself, son. Don't be afraid of taking credit yourself, okay? Don't be too prideful.
It hurts a lot. Like, even now when I'm talking to you about it, it hurts, but I don't know, it is what it is.
You know what I do? When I say 2 minutes, I mean 2 minutes. You get yourself out of bed, you can be proud of that.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Banksy. God bless, and everyone at home, I'll see you all soon.
So those are the thoughts and feelings, and very personal feelings, of Anthony Joshua on a night when he narrowly fouled to regain the World Heavyweight Championship. Beaten once again, this time on a split decision by Alexander Usyk. Richie, it's been an emotional week. It was a passionate and emotional and intense fight. When you get on a plane in a couple of hours' time, what are you going to take from your week here and this fight? You're going to lie back, put your head back, you're going to chuckle, you're going to smile, or you're just going to shake your head? What's it going to be?
Deep down, Steve, I'm a little bit disappointed, to be quite honest, because I wanted AJ to win the titles back. I've spent a lot of time with him, worked with him right through his Olympic days, and I was really hoping he was going to win, but I also thought that Usyk would have a little bit too much for him, and I always said all week, Steve, I've said that he would win on points.
Yeah.
And you know what, Steve? Deep down, I thought as well that Usyk might go one step further. He might improve, where he might really give Anthony Joshua trouble, but that wasn't the case. I thought Anthony Joshua's performance was a good performance. It was a better performance than his first one, and what he showed me in there, Steve, also, which I was so pleased with, he showed me that he's still got the desire and the will to compete and to win.
And we saw that by his reaction in the ring afterwards as well.
Exactly. So there wasn't a case of him shaking everyone's hands and smiling, I'll accept the defeat. He hated losing tonight. Yeah. He absolutely hated it deep down. He was a sportsman and a gentleman afterwards when he regrouped his thoughts. Let's get that right. Yep. And he corrected himself. But deep down, it really, really hurt. And that's a good thing, Steve.
You know what?
Because that means he's inside. The kid's a champion and a winner. So we'll see him again. I wish him all the best. It's been a fantastic week working with you, Steve. I've watched you go from a mild sort of red colour to absolutely bright pink here and there.
Yeah.
But listen, we've done Woodall's tours every day.
We've done Woodall's tours every morning. We've walked for 9K. We did a tour. We walked all the way around the F1 track. That wasn't the highlight. We walked along the front for 7.5K trying to find somewhere to buy some coffee, only to realise that neither of us had either a credit card with us or any cash.
And we saw a stingray.
And we saw a giant stingray on one of the walks. That aside, during this week, we launched our first pod on Monday, which just seems so long ago. We have spoken to every single soul, man and woman, old and young, Saudi, every nationality seems to have been on our pod and on 5 Live.
this week. It has been an incredible week, an absolutely incredible week. At the end of the night and at the end of the fight, Usyk was just too smart and too clever. It was tight. It was maybe a fight. When we look back on it, we might actually come up with this. It might work for another show. It was a fight of 3 quarters. The last 4 rounds, the first 4 rounds, and the middle 4 rounds. That's going to be really interesting. A split decision win for Alexander Usyk. And if you're not an Alexander Usyk fan, then there's something wrong with you. Is that a fair comment, Richie?
Absolutely fair comment. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to be here, Steve, to witness such a great contest. And yes, really enjoyed it, Steve.
So that's it. That's it from Jeddah at the end of a heavyweight championship week. Usyk's still the world champion. And Anthony Joshua, well, he's not going anywhere. Trust me. He'll come back. As Richie said, he's got the desire. Thanks for being with us all week. Thanks very much for listening. We're not going anywhere. We got fights coming up very soon. We got fights overseas. We got fights in London. We got fights in Manchester. We got fights in Liverpool. Stick with us. Thanks very much.
Let's get ready to rumble!
5 Live Boxing.